For years, I avoided the fact that I was a chronic people pleaser. I spent the most of my life wanting to be accepted, needing validation of others, and just wanting to fit in. So I did anything and everything I could to belong, extending my energy when it wasn't necessary, and in return, I was getting unrequited value, if I would put it like that. The thing is, when you're a people pleaser, you subconsciously signal that you are a doormat for people to walk all over. You subconsciously signal that your door is open for anything and anybody and any entity to just walk in and walk out and do as they please. And when you signal that, whoever is receiving that information will take it up as a challenge. So you can't really blame them. And then what eventually happens to you is that you build years and years of resentment with others and with yourself. You build resentment with yourself because there were times when you felt like you should have said no, but you said yes. You betrayed yourself. There were times when you should have stood up for yourself, but you didn't. You were afraid. You resent others because deep down, you know that they know what they're doing. You know that they see things, and yet they've chosen to indulge. But can you really blame them though? You can't. My people pleasing was something that I would say was encoded in me from childhood because for whatever reason, it always felt like I needed to survive. So I did things, I overextended myself because I felt like I needed to survive. It was a survival tactic. And I wouldn't say that I was conscious of it 100%, especially when I was much, much younger. But as I grew up, I started to see how I was betraying myself. And there's this knot in your chest you feel when you are doing something against your will, but you can't really say it's against your will because you were the one that approved of it. You were the one that said yes when you wanted to say no. In fact, sometimes you didn't even wait for them to ask you, you did it out of your own volition. And it just goes to show how deep ingrained people pleasing has become in our society. For me, I didn't know that there was somewhere subconscious that I was building resentment for myself. And then one day I just realized that I crashed out. I don't think it happened in one day, to be honest. I just feel like there was a season in my life when I just started to crash out. And to be honest, people pleasing is something that I wouldn't tell you that I have 100% come out of as of right now because it's a process. You can't just rip off the band aid. It's going to take a while, but then the rate at which you become better is determined by the amount of work that you're willing to put in. You might get to a point when you just become fed up, either because of the consequences of your people pleasing ways or because something triggers you and you start to wake up. And for me, I think it was both of them. And you also have to look at it this way: the more you continue to people please in whatever situation you find yourself, you're also training the other person. You're also training those people to continue to see you as weak, to continue to see you as a doormat. You're also training them to continue to depend on your energy for what it is that your energy is bringing to that dynamic. And the longer you allow it to linger, the more intense their resistance is going to be when you finally decide that your people pleasing ways are over. So, isn't it better that you lay it from the beginning what your ground rules are? I think that with this, it is better from the beginning that people know who you really are and let them decide if they want to associate with you or not. And that brings me to my next point. I was a people pleaser because I was bent on being associated with these people or this person. And it leads to the question, why? Why did I need the validation so much? Why did I need to feel like I belonged? And the more I think about it, the more I realize that it boils down to my self concepts and my self esteem. And I'm not ashamed to say that I didn't have a healthy self esteem. In fact, my self esteem was so low that if there is a chart that is being used to measure self esteem, mine would not be recognizable. That's how low my self esteem was because I didn't see value in myself. And deep down, I think I thought of myself as a fraud, as someone who wasn't worthy of being alive. And the more I think about it, I could actually think of reasons why I saw myself like that. And it's because of the experiences that I probably had in childhood and other things that must have happened. But the point is, these things shaped me into thinking that I was a nobody. And I felt like I needed to hide that part of me that I was a nobody to the rest of the world. And because you've told yourself that you're a nobody, you carry yourself like you're a nobody. And when you carry yourself like a nobody, what do you expect? You try whatever you can to then find validation from people outside of yourself who would tell you that it's a lie and soothe you and tell you that you're a somebody. But the truth is, no matter how much anybody tells you that you're a somebody, if you don't actually believe that you're a somebody, you will always be a nobody deep down. And what then eventually happens is that because you are relying on somebody outside of yourself to remind you that you're a somebody, you are always going to be relying on that person to remind you that you're a somebody, which makes you a fraud. And what you're signaling to that person or those group of people is that they have power over you. And once you signal that they have power over you and they've gotten that information that they have power over you, what do you expect? They will do as they please with you. And because now they know that they will do as they please with you, you've automatically given them the right to walk all over you. And because you want to continually be reminded that you are somebody, you start to overextend yourself to people please, to prove to this person, to prove to these people that you're a somebody. And when they want to control you, they withhold that drug that it is that you like, that validation till you do what it is that they want you to do. That's the game.